c'est les gens qui voient que dans ce monde, il y a beaucoup de choses à faire, qu'il y a des gens à aider et qui décident tout simplement de...
Well, in this world, there's a lot to do and people to help, and some people decide not to do anything. Sometimes parents allow themselves, before even their child is born, to plan their future, to plan his or her future, and say that he must succeed in life in this field and not in this other field. There's a growing skepticism about global warming.
They really need.
Et le fait que parce qu'on est plus jeune, notre opinion est moins prise en compte et que ça nous parle d'expérience alors que ça n'est pas forcément lié.
Well, when we are young, sometimes we are told that we don't have experience, and this is not necessarily linked with our age.
Moi, c'est les gens qui se sentent obligés.
Well, I don't like people who feel obliged to crush others. People who are intolerant and have no argument but speak louder than others. People who feel they are better than others, who don't respect the lives of others. They go into markets, hospitals, and churches with explosives because they think that their religion is better than others and more important than other people's religions. People who look at children dying of hunger in poverty without clothes or anything. Children who scream in shops, in stores, it's horrible.
Pour moi, ce sont les gens qui ne se remettent jamais en question, que ce soit les gens normaux dans la
People who don't call themselves into question, normal people in everyday life, or people who are in governments. Salespeople who harass me in shops, people who have bad faith.
Negative energy while you're trying to stand up and face everything.
C'est la façon dont certaines personnes disent à d'autres personnes.
The way some people tell other people that they must keep silent because they don't have the same ideas or arguments. And it's a way of shutting up the other people because they feel that they are more intelligent. And also the way of thinking of some people who think that diplomas are more important than people.
Somebody being disrespectful towards one another and I'm not being able to do anything about it.
Les gens qui ne sont pas ouverts d'esprit.
I don't like people who are not open-minded. The people from the previous generation who tell us over and over again that we can't say anything because as long as we've not gone through a war, we have no legitimacy and we need experience. Well, for my generation, it is legitimate when you're a child or an adult to express yourself.
Others without knowing them well in advance.
Les personnes qui...
People who don't listen to you even though you're brave enough to speak. For me, the main problem is injustice and maybe this feeling that you are witnessing something bad and you can't do anything to stop it or change it. Rich people who eat with forks in gold, whereas some people sleep in the winter in the streets, people who in suits and ties who decide for others when people are dying in the Mediterranean every day, those who think that they are better than others. Children who die of hunger every day in Yemen, Somalia. Well, the lack of humanity of human beings, in fact, shocks me. Well, you heard the song Libertat and the voices of the members of the jury of the 2020 Liberty Prize, which is an award to celebrate liberty. Welcome to the official awarding of the 2020 Liberty Prize. A number of international organizations were supposed to join us here in Normandy, but given the health situation, they cannot be with us, actually. I know that they are following us live on the internet and that they are and I would like to thank them very warmly. Now, what is the Liberty Prize? The answer with the comedian from the Cité Universitaire, the university campus of Caen. What is the Liberty Prize? Well, it's very simple. It's young people who award a prize that rewards people in the whole world who've done things that have a relationship with liberty or have thoughts about liberty, but they're not entitled to have those thoughts because it's not acceptable in the country where they live. Exactly, it's a prize we're going to award to reward people who deserve it. And to follow up on what Arthur said, he said to take action, and it's exactly what they are doing. We reward people for actions for which they've been punished, and with this prize, there is an educational chapter. You tell young people you can show liberty, but you may go to jail. Well, this is not what the Liberty Prize is. It can be given to people who are in jail, but this prize is a reward to people or associations that have acted in favor of liberty, and young people for 15 to 25 suggest name. It's like a Nobel Peace Prize for liberty. So the young are at the heart of the process. The Normandy region and the Institute of Human Rights are going to offer young people to suggest candidates, and other young people who are members of the jury will choose some people and they'll suggest to the other young people to vote again, and then at the end you have 3 nominees. Yes, in the end you have 3 possible nominates left, but when there are still many candidates, the members of the juries use stickers. Well, or rather, well, gommette in French, because it's an educational tool. Okay, okay, Arthur, stop. This is ridiculous. We don't understand what you are saying. Yes, well, stickers, gommette, English name, French name, it doesn't matter. To be clear, the International Institute of Human Rights has received from young people between 15 and 25 names of candidates. Now, once this is done, a jury is set up with young people from 15 to 25. There were 24 members of the jury, 12 from France, 12 from the rest of the world. And there were 160 candidates this year. And the jury then meets for 1 week, a short week. Yes, a short week, not a whole week. 4 days, 4 days. Okay, 4 days. It's very short to study the 165 files and select 3 of them that afterwards are voted upon electronically to appoint the winner. That's exactly how it works. Well, it gives you an idea of what the Liberty Prize is all about. Now, to be more specific, I will add that this prize was created 3 years ago by the Normandy region in partnership with International Institutes for Human Rights and Peace, the academic authorities of the Normandy region, the educational network, and the West France group. And what they want is to pay tribute to the liberators of 1944, of course, but also raise awareness amongst the young and involve your generation between 15 and 25 years of age in order to defend the values of D-Day here in Normandy, but also everywhere in the world. And more than 6,000 young people from Normandy, but also from the rest of the world, participated in the prize throughout the year with 3 major steps that I'm going to remind you of quickly. The first one is the call for proposals. And there were many ideas for the Liberty Prize in 2020. 238 files were sent to describe the fight for liberty of a person or an organization. Second step, the jury of 24 young people met last February to select amongst the proposals that were received 3 names, 3 fights that the jury thought were the most symbolic of the combat for liberty in 2020. And the third step was online voting. And again, there were many people who voted, who participated. About 5,500 votes were registered, 100 and 500 more than last year, coming from 80 different countries on the 5 continents. It's a remarkable number when we know that half of the states were locked down. So congratulations. I think we can really greet this beautiful involvement of our youth. Well, the trophy that will be given later on to Loujain Al Hathloul, and we'll see her portrait in a minute. Well, this trophy was designed and imagined and made by young people from Normandy. Absolutely, except that we have a side problem. We lost the trophy. So we have to cancel the ceremony. Well, don't worry. We'll postpone it. But we can't. We're not available on October 26th. But maybe what we can do is tell you the story of this trophy, because it's an incredible saga. Well, the Lycée Napoléon started working on the trophy. Then on March 13th, there was lockdown, and the students wanted to continue making the trophy, and they continued even during a lockdown. Marion Grandin, thank you Antoine, took the trophy back to her home in Caen. So she went from Leg to Caen. It's about 100 kilometers, and she started working on the trophy. She removed the material to start making the statue. Well, thank you for these explanations. So Marion did that in her garage, and every night at 8 o'clock she was applauded by her neighbors who wanted to encourage her. It's an incredible show of solidarity. Then Marion went to Bayeux to see her mother, so she went from Caen to Bayeux, 30 kilometers, and in the meantime she gave the trophy to a friend on the car park of Lidl in Torigny, 36 kilometers from Bayeux. And, well, she arrived on Lidl's car park, and she had filled her paper, you know, to be able to go out by saying that she was going food shopping, because there was no box to take liberty, you know. Then Marie did something else on the trophy at Granville in her home. From Torigny-sur-Vire to Granville, 55 kilometers by air still, but then the trophy went to Granville, where she worked on the panels. And then after lockdown, it had to go to L'Aigle from Granville, and that's over 200 kilometers. Well, by air. Gabrielle has been saying by air, but they did it in a car, of course. So in total, the trophy during lockdown traveled 139 kilometers by air? No, by car. 539 kilometers, sorry. So it's like going to Brussels and coming back to Caen. Okay, so we've got the trophy. We can continue the ceremony and watch the video of the building of the trophy by the students of the Napoléon, the Lycée Napoléon in l'Aigle. Okay, so there were many different logos on Liberty, and we needed to find something unique. That's where the difficulty was. So we started by doing some research. We did a lot of drawings, and then we shared ideas amongst ourselves. So in the end, the logo is something that represents all of us and can really move everybody. So we thought about a tree to talk about the life cycles, nature, biodiversity, with a wooden basis and a part in plexiglass. The three materials were chosen by the students to also mention technological changes and show that the hand of man can transform natural materials. We are sanding the plexiglass to obtain the effect we wanted. So what we use our hands for gives a beautiful result. So this is the wooden basis with using plasticine and 3D. A trophy needs to be able to be held in the hand. It has to be rugged enough, strong enough. It has to be looked from all possible angles at 360 degrees. And our students are not used to working on that, so it was an additional difficulty. I'm sculpting the flame, which represents vegetation as well, and hope. So it's very nice to be able to do that, and we're glad to present what our high school is doing to the whole world. We're adding precious wood and also different types of woods, and then the plain parts of the statue are sanded and varnished. We used a cellulosic varnish. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you to the educational team that managed to finish making the trophy in spite of the special circumstances this year. You can be very proud of what you did. So continue the good work. I think we can applaud them all. So after the students of Lycée Brion de l'Eure, the students of l'Aigle at Lycée Napoléon finished this piece of work. Thank you. Every year, a sponsor is invited to award the prize. This year, we are fortunate enough to have one of the most beautiful and greatest voices of our era to award this prize. She is Swedish and American, and she commits in parallel with her career. She commits to causes that are dear to her heart, and actually on Wednesday evenings she gave a concert for healthcare workers. She's an ambassador of UNHCR, and she created a foundation. You recognize her. It is Barbara Hendricks, and she's going to join us in a few minutes. She will join us in a few minutes, but first, I'd like to invite the president of the Normandy region, Hervé Morin, to take the floor. Mr. Morin, you have the floor. So I give you the floor to introduce this ceremony. I just wanted to tell Barbara Hendricks that when we mentioned the possibility of her being here, in spite of COVID, she took time to come and see us in Normandy, and I'd like to thank her deeply and warmly for the concert that she gave on Wednesday evening and for her commitment in favor of all kinds of liberties, in particular the rights of women. Thank you, Barbara Hendricks, for being here today. It gives our forum a brilliance that is quite exceptional. Thank you 1,000 times for being here, Barbara. I would like to tell the rector that the success of our forum, and I'm also talking to Bertrand Degnaud, the vice president in charge of education and secondary schools. Well, I must say that the success of this forum is connected with this hunch, this intuition we had to make it a unique forum on issues of security, stability, sustainable development, opening it up to all kinds of populations with a special angle. We wanted as many possible young people, teachers, and schools from Normandy to work on educational programs. And we wanted to convey a message through them, which is that the world we are building is their world, and they need to be involved in the construction of that world. They need to consider that what we are offering them is something they need to define themselves. They should not be passive in this world. There must be major actors in order to build the world that they want. And in a way, this Liberty Prize, my dear friends, is a simple message to encourage people to get mobilized and to participate in the construction of the world. You can see things in two different ways. The first way is, well, to think, there are scenarios that are offered to us. The situation is difficult for you, economic problems, the financial debt, the environmental debt as well. That the inexorable global warming is going to create and is creating. So you may think that you have a heavy burden at the beginning of your lives. Another angle is to think that you should never despair and remain optimistic. Nothing is ever inexorable. At some point in time, there will probably be an alignment of the planets. Maybe the leaders will accept to build a new world based on a simple commitment, which is that we all want to build a world in which we can live, in which everybody will find his or her place, in which the respect of human beings, liberty, education, and health should be accessible to all. We talked about all this pain and sufferings for the past 2 days, and we realized that there's not much needed to make sure that our planet gets better. So it is up to you to tackle these issues and to consider that they are your issues and not to feel that you are defeated. This is the message of the Liberty Prize, and it's a young woman that we wanted to convey a message to through the awarding of this prize this year, and also to the leaders of her country, the Prince, MBS, and tell him that her two sisters should be freed. There's no reason that these young women should remain in jail in Saudi Arabia simply because they are claiming that women have the same rights as men, and that women are also entitled to be free and to be considered as adults and responsible persons as we are in our own countries. So our message is simple. to encourage equal access to dignity, responsibility, and liberty, whether you're a man or a woman. And allow me as well to send a message to the person who came second in our vote, Yura Sukude, who is also jailed in Iran. Noura is in jail because she refuses to wear a veil. Now, ladies and gentlemen, through the Liberty Prize, we are sending a message along the lines of the values of those who came to liberate us in 1944. Thank you for your commitment.
Thank you very much, Mr. President of the region. And now to continue on this message, Christine Amélie Chevet, please come and take the floor. She is the rector of the Normandy Academic Region. Exemplary organization with hydroalcoholic gel. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm very impressed by all the people in this room, but what impresses me most is to be speaking before the great Barbara Hendricks. I want to pay homage to her because her voice has accompanied me throughout my life. So thank you for your life, your voice rather, pardon me, and thank you for everything you are doing. Thank you. So today is the second edition of this Liberty or Freedom Award, an initiative that is conducted by this region of Normandy. I want to thank the region for this. It's a challenge to put together a jury of youth to determine who in the world we have as personalities who represent the colors of freedom. In Normandy, these colors are very important because they're a heritage, an inheritance that we have to bear. That is that of the landing on 6 June 44, when so many lives were sacrificed. It's a very nice message to youth, to having youth be part of this jury. This award for the Normandy Academy is also a way of giving our students the sense of commitment and what youth today is. And Mr. President, I thank you for your words saying that it's not a sacrificed generation that we have today. It's not the COVID generation. It's also the generation of those for great commitments for sustainable development, freedom, generation of Olympic Games, and I would even say a generation of a world to build. So for our students, 675 students and apprentices, 22 classes, 19 establishments, and you have just said that you appreciated that all our students were represented among the jury. Students coming from everywhere in Normandy. This is very important. It shows that we've succeeded in opening up this award to all of our students. And of course, more prosaically, this award is part of a type of teaching civic duty. Teaching civic duty is part of our national education to help our youth enter the world of tomorrow. So 6 Norman students have studied the 15 candidacies of great personalities who are making the world of today, and they have chosen with 5,500 youth who selected 3 exemplary personalities, 3 symbols. And of course, I have to congratulate these wonderful personalities. You have done so marvelously, Mr. President, but I will also congratulate the students of Normandy, because participating in this jury is an onerous duty and task, and it entailed a lot of work. So thanks to you and to the region of Normandy. Thank you, Madam Rector. Now, I would like to also greet the representatives of other institutions. Alain Touré, who is the MP of Calvados, and he's the president of the institution of the Peace Institute, and Caroline Guillaume, who is in Normandy in charge of forests. Jean-Emmanuel Hutet, director of the editorial research for West France, and François Xavier Lefranc, in charge of West France, and Maria Villa, in charge of Canopy. And in this room, we have the two sisters of, there's Loujain and Al Hathloul. They made the trip. They came from Belgium, from Brussels, and we thank them for that. So this could be a topic for a question for those graduating from high school. What does freedom mean? Is it a vague concept, or is it very specific in terms of the right to move as you like, dress as you like, express yourself as you like? On the dress code, that's something that has been recently discussed. These things have been discussed by the jury for 2020. So let them discuss this. What is freedom? We are setting up flags, which we thought up. Our freedom flag. And what I find very beautiful is that there's so much diversity in these flags. And it's already a form of freedom in itself, all this diversity. There's a vast diversity. So what is freedom? Well, to be direct, we're not used to ceremonies. We're not used to ceremonies for freedom. But makes us uncomfortable. We don't really know how to behave because we know that we have to behave. We know that even if it's freedom, we can't just behave as if we're on our couch. We don't want to act like idiots, but we want to be direct and sincere in our lives, in our city. Not much is happening. Sometimes we forget what's happening because we're caught up in what we're doing. Freedom is not a question. We go where we want, when we want. Things are calm. If we're sincere, then we don't really know what to say about freedom. We don't have anything to say about it. And then we read the files of each of the candidates. It's a struggle that makes you go forward. They are less selfish. They don't give up ever. For them, it's a necessity, and they hang on to this idea. It's an invisible idea for us. It's a beautiful idea, an idea for which some lives have been swallowed up. So how do we reflect their struggle? How do we reflect this struggle? Well, we read many things on freedom, people thinking, people writing about it, like gay Tempest or Mayor Mookin, musicians or poets like Angela Davis, Arthur Rainbow, definitions, ideas, quotations from plays, Nathalie Fayot. There's one, a philosopher, who says that your spirit has to turn into a camel to free itself, and then fill it with concepts, and then it has to free itself of these to come up with a real thought and then become a lion, and then to really become free, to go back to being a child. And that way the spirit finds its real world. What you're saying is very beautiful. Yes, it's beautiful, but when Nietzsche describes it, it's much, much more complex. You simplified it. That's why I thought we should talk about our freedoms and let's see the words that are around freedom. You know, like, let's say, a lexical field, if you will. So freedom, liberty, autonomy, independence, being casual, will, hardiness, audacity. I'm lost here. For me, freedom is too vast a concept. It moves, it's alive. In that case, a photo. If you had asked for a photo, I would have chosen a photo of birds flying. For you, that means freedom is birds flying. But for me, I didn't choose my name, my gender, the time, and the city in which I was born. And you who are facing censorship, injustice, how many times did you believe in your dreams, only to be told that your dreams of freedom were nothing, yet they were much more than the dust that you were trying to shape into something. You really deserve that freedom, even if you will never soar. You will win, not right away perhaps, but you will win ultimately. This is just one drop. Then it will become freedom pouring down, freedom screaming within you, and we are here to share that thought. So with this one word and its power, I was here, I'm beginning again to name you. So you have undoubtedly recognized Paul Eluard's beautiful poem. He's very attached to freedom of expression and freedom of the press, and for a good reason. He's a journalist. I would invite the president of this jury for 2020, Mr. David Enkov. Emmanuel David Enkov, who presided over a jury of 24. They were people not just from Normandy, they were French from other areas, even from Burkina Faso, Madagascar, US, Canada, Colombia, Cambodia, Canary Islands, Lebanon, Egypt. I'm mentioning all of them because perhaps they're watching us. So this has been an incredible jury. I would like to thank also Christophe Yvetot and Jonas. And I told them I'm not going to speak tomorrow. They said, don't worry, no. So I guess I'll have to improvise. I want to share two things. You said I'm a journalist, but there are two things that struck me. First of all, freedom and youth. Mr. President, you mentioned this, but youth is now working toward freedom. My generation, and I'm not that old. No, I'm not that old. My generation did not do this, but you, thanks to social networks, can become editors of what you're doing. And that's what we see throughout the world on all major causes, whether it be for the environment. Greta Thunberg was awarded one. She was here at the last edition on police violence, on racism, freedom of expression of youth. And I saw the 165 dossiers displayed, and we saw this. And I saw all of you. There was the Père Pedro who had come up on the screen, and it was Loujain who was chosen. And she also represents this youth that doesn't want to see their struggles to be stolen from them. So it's great that youth is so involved in this. And this jury that I loved presiding over it. In fact, they did everything. I didn't do much of anything. And the second thing is that, well, there's the question of education. This Freedom Award is great in terms of education. You piloted phosphor and étudiant, so you have a lot of experience in education. Thank you very much. And I'm very sensitive to this project because it's work that is done in establishments, not a one-off thing. It's, yes, very cathartic, it's beautiful, and it is going to lend more credence to a person, but it's an entire process set up in schools, because that's where school and education take place, in the schools themselves. I was in journalism on education for 25 years, and I know that it is an ongoing process. It's a long-term process. And this mechanism really realizes this lengthy process, and it is also part of all of Normandy and going beyond Normandy internationally among all youth. There are colleges, professional colleges, many different educational establishments, and you, the jury, represent that diversity. It's youth. So and I think any operation should be structured in this way, by youth, for youth. So I was fascinated by the work you have accomplished, and I was delighted to preside over the jury. And perhaps we speak of freedom. I have, as a journalist, think of freedom of the press, and you know that there is a trial on. There were terrorist attacks. I think that the prosecution has decided that these were terrorist attacks. All this is very fragile, but we have to fight this, and I'd like to echo what you said, to think of our number 2 candidate who is in prison today. And I hope I have, let's say, given due credit to everyone. Well, this jury that you adore, perhaps, we will hear their voices as well. And there they are. They're here in the room. Andres, Axel, Camille, Deborah. I'm Guillaume, Abdullah, Jamila, Elise, Emile, Kojo, Luca, Miriam, Ronnie, Matisse, Pai, Ruba, Soumya, Swana, Teo, Zoe, Yomna. So you spent a week. Well, stay with me because I still have some questions for you. I know you love this. We will look at a summary of your week. We're delighted that you are here. You're lucky to be in the most beautiful region in the world. This is a very special land because it is a land from which the planet was able to embark upon this road to peace and stability. So thank you for being here. I wish you a good day. You have little red stickers to start to write, but a member of the jury could strongly disagree with another jury member, and you could then have to discuss things. I want to emphasize that in 2018, there are 121 feminicides in France, and luckily women are heard more. I want to have meetings with many different nationalities.
Great-grandparents all fought in World War II, and they have all taught me throughout my life that freedom is the most important thing we can have as people. And I think that the youth of the world are the ones that need to spark the change to help everyone get free. And I think this prize is a wonderful way to do it.
Donc le jury.
So the jury is made up of 24 youth between 15 and 25 years old that come from Normandy and other regions of France as well. And there are also some people from elsewhere in the world, because this is an international freedom award addressing youth throughout the world. And what's interesting is that these youth are talking not against institutions, and I think that education is something that has to include youth for youth. So you have the 5 groups that are put together. They have 2 hours to arrive at 2 per group, and then they make up a definitive list. Sometimes we don't, well, most of the time we don't feel heard, but at this Freedom Award, everyone's listening to us, and the debates are very interesting. It's very enriching. It's great.
From different people, and it is like you open up your mind.
It is very interesting to work with the other people from different background and different belief and religion. I think this is very diverse, and we get to know each other more and understand more.
On partage tous les mêmes valeurs de la liberté.
We all share the same values of freedom. That's what makes this jury so strong. They have the morning to work in groups of 2 or 3 on a finalist to prepare a 7-minute presentation in front of the entire jury. And we saw that, you know, fundamental women's rights, that's half the population. As
age, but he is like continuing his fight, like being too old. He went through all the mental and health problems, but he is still fighting, which is a motivation for all of us.
Après la présentation.
After the presentation, we proceed to the final vote, and there the youth will have 5 votes to distribute as they like on the 10 finalists. And then there will be the announcement of the 3 finalists for the 2020 Freedom Award. The 3 finalists for 2020, Loujain Al Hathloul and Pedro Opeka, both tied at 17 points, and then Nazreen Sotoudeh. So, Emmanuel, talk to me about things behind the scenes. How were things shared, and what was your role? Well, that's not how it happened, in fact. I'm joking. That's exactly how it happened, of course. First, there's the remarkable work done by the Institute. And there is this team. Then when they were preparing, they said, we have a process of collective intelligence. I've seen such processes, and it's not always that collective or intelligent, but indeed, they put together a series of common moments of discussion to define values and the way in which they'd work, and that worked very well. In the education system, there are a few times when you win together in collectives, in team sports, in choirs, when you sing all together. But otherwise, we're competing. So what I like is to create this collective action and have them head in the same direction to define a method. And I thought that point was really interesting. The first thing is that. The second is that they were very open to the others. They listened to the others. So, Madam Rector, when you go into some establishments, there's background noise, but they really listen to each other, and I think that was one of the main keys. So there was like a funnel-shaped process, as described in the film we just saw. You know these 3 things? No. The 3 struggles? No, there was the sourcing. We looked at the projects. I think we ran into one of the teams with the project. There were some that had, there was the Charles de Gaulle College that proposed Loujain as the winner. They will be coming up on stage. So that's how it happened. So in a word, what will you take out of this experience? Hope. Because we have very depressing news these days. You've said it. Youth are leading the future. And I want to believe in the future. Okay, that's a nice way to conclude. You can take your seat. Thank you very much, Emmanuel David Enkov. So 3 absolutely remarkable personalities in terms of their struggle, and we have looked at this jury of 2020. The 3 all deserve our recognition. Here is their struggle. He goes for the first time in 1970. He helps the peasants, creates groups of villagers to help them take their destiny into their own hands. He, as a priest, settles in 1975. In 1989, he discovers a community of women seeking to find food in a dump. He creates the association Akamasosa. Its purpose to build a city to welcome the most downtrodden and help them find a life with dignity. This usefulness is recognized. The association participates in building housing, 3,000 houses distributed among a certain area. It also works to ensure that children are enrolled in schools, get access to health care, and that women can get paid work. In creating it, he has gone throughout the world, traveled throughout the world to draw attention to the situation in Madagascar and to raise funds for his association. I cannot stand seeing children sleeping in the street, working at a dump. As a human, I can't stand this. We all have the same rights. He does, I do, and so do his parents. Nasrin Sotoudeh is specialized in the defense of human rights. Since the protest movement in elections, June 2009, she's been defending political activists and opponents. She's a feminist. She was arrested the first time and was supposedly accused of propaganda against the regime, activities endangering, and she's then sentenced to 11 years in jail without being able to exercise her profession or leave Iran for 20 years. Between 2010 and 2012, she wanted to decry abuse. She received the Sakharov Award in 2012 and was amnestied later. Then she was once again condemned at 38 years of prison. Her crime, protesting, defending women who dared to take the veil off in public. That is the heaviest sentence against a human rights defender in Iran. The international community demands that she be immediately released. I hope from the bottom of my heart that peaceful voices will enable us to improve women's rights, not due to religion, ideology, or any other specific reason. Loujain Al Hathloul is a Saudi of 39 years old. She's an emblematic figure, peaceful activist for women's rights, especially active on social networks. She fights to put an end to a repressive system under masculine domination. She claims the right for all women to drive. In 2014, she's arrested while she's filming, while driving her car, trying to cross the border to the United Arab Emirates. She's released after 73 days in jail. She's once again incarcerated in May 2018 for having violated the ban on driving, or the prohibition to drive. From her cell, Loujain declared being victims of acts of torture and sexual aggression on more than one occasion. After an unfair trial in March 9, 2019, she had no lawyer. Since 2018, women have been allowed to drive in her country. The Saudi prosecution proposed to release her in August 2019 in exchange for false testimony on the conditions of defense, but she refused. She is placed in solitary confinement, has been placed since April 2019. She's one of the first women to denounce all laws disconnected with, and sorry, the interpreter did not manage to read it to the end.
Voilà pour ces trois combats.
Well, these are the three fights chosen by the jury in 2020. The vote ended on June 6, and Loujain Al Hathloul wins the 2020 Freedom Prize with more than 42% of the votes. This was also the choice of various schools, and Emmanuel was saying it, Lycée Charles de Gaulle, CEFAC, the Professional Center for the Training in Arts and Crafts in Calvados. The students of these two schools were able to have a conversation with Loujain's sisters this morning, and I'd like to invite two of them and their teacher to come up to the stage. Good afternoon. I looked at the training courses offered by CEFAC. You can train to maintain vehicles, to health work, food, administration of companies. How did you hear about the Freedom Prize? Good afternoon. I'm going to answer this question. I'm a French teacher and also a history teacher. And in 2019, I was able to have young people participate in the Freedom Prize voting process. And of course, the year after, I was able to work on the Freedom Project with apprentices. So I chose a group working as they were training to become bakers. It was their first year. And, well, Ryan, what really impressed you so much, moved you so much in Loujain's fight? Her determination and courage. She's still in jail for her work on social media on behalf of all women in her country. She was the youngest personality amongst all the proposals. She was born in 1989, the year when the Berlin Wall fell. I think you weren't born then. Now, is it because she was the youngest as well that you identified with her more easily? Yes. She's young, so she represents hope for the future and the possibility to continue her fight. Madame Degnaud, how was all this organized? Did you devote much time to the Freedom Prize? Did you organize discussions, a dialogue? Well, when you are an apprentice, you spend 1 week per month at the training center and 3 weeks in a company. So it's true that we didn't have much time to work on the prize. We had to really have a strict organization, and it also required a great deal of work from the young people, and I want to congratulate them for that. Maybe a word about the morning's meeting. Well, it went very well. I'm going to let the young people explain to you their feelings. So you met Loujain's sisters. Yes, the meeting went very well. We were able to ask several questions on their own courage, because they also fight for the liberation of their sister. we learned a lot about their country. For instance, the fact that they are not quite free. No, Saudi Arabia is not one of the good students in human rights. Loujain sisters are going to tell us about it later on. Thank you very much, and let me clarify that CIFAC's proposal got the coup de cœur from West France, and this prize was given this morning by Jeanne-Emmanuel Hutin from West France and François-Xavier Lefranc from West France as well. Thank you very much. Loujain Al Hathloul is the winner of the 2020 Freedom Prize, which was greeted by Pedro and Feza Adam, Nasrin's Sotoudeh's husband. Let me suggest that we listen to their congratulations and the tribute they are paying Loujain. Dear friends, it is with a great pleasure that I greet and congratulate Loujain Al Hathloul, the winner of the 2020 Freedom Prize. Young people from 81 countries chose well a person who had the courage to defend liberty in her country and the dignity of women. This great woman from Saudi Arabia, Loujain Al Hathloul, deserves this recognition and this distinction, which I hope will help her be free again herself, which we really wish from all our heart. We wish the same to our sister Nasrin Sotoudeh, Iranian lawyer, also in jail. Nobody should be imprisoned to have expressed her thoughts and beliefs freely. We believe that the youth worldwide is going towards tolerance, freedom, respect of any human persons without any distinction of race, opinion, ideology, or religion. I admire very much the two sisters who are fighting for freedom in their country. Nobody will ever prevent anybody to be free to live and express themselves in all countries in the world. Liberty, freedom will always win everywhere eventually. Unfortunately, freedom cannot be given by human beings. It can only be taken thanks to courage and determination. Long live the winner, Loujain Al Hathloul. Long live liberty, youth, and our humanity. With brotherly thoughts to Father Pedro and Nasrin. And now, a few words from Reza Kandan, Nasrin Sotoudeh's husband.
I would like to congratulate to you and your colleagues for holding the Great Prize of Freedom Prize 2020, especially in situation of COVID-19 pandemic. As you mentioned, participation of 5,500 young people in this situation is a great success. I would also congratulate to Loujain Al Hathloul for her selection as a 2020 laureate. I would also appreciate the efforts of Father Pedro Opeka in Madagascar.
Due to the limitation forced by the Iranian government and the limitation of travel international, we are not able to attend the ceremony. However, in the next couple of weeks, we can decide on this issue and will inform you of our decision. Best regards,
Reza Kandan.
Voilà pour ces mots adressés à Loujain. Loujain toujours en...
So these are words for Loujain, who is still in jail like Nasrin. So today, I'd like to give you some news from Nasrin. So today, whose fight is supported by organizations representing the lawyers of G7 countries, and first and foremost, the National Council of Bar Associations, represented by its president, Christian Ferrand-Schul. Today. Thank you, Madam. I know that she wished to show a portrait of Nasrin Sotoudeh on the building in which the National Council of the Bar Association is located. Nasrin is still in jail in Tehran with other political prisoners. She's extremely weak because she just ended a hunger strike of 45 days. Her health did not allow her to continue that strike. Well, it was motivated by her wish to denunciate the conditions of detention of political prisoners in Iran, and during these 45 days, she was not given any medical care. So a thought for Nasrin.
Alors ce prix Liberté.
The Freedom Prize was also built around three symbolic characters, men this time, of the fight for freedom. They are the original sponsors, and they fought in Normandy, all three of them. You know their names, probably. A Frenchman, Bernard Argos, in the middle, who landed with an American uniform on June 8, 1944, a sergeant in military intelligence of the 2nd Infantry Division. Unfortunately, he passed away last year. Léon Gauthier, on the left, a Marine from the Free French Forces in the 177th Skiefer Commando, who landed in Wistrom on June 6, 44. He apologizes for his absence. And Charles Norman Shea, on the right, an American nurse of Amerindian or Native American origin, who landed on June 6, 44 on Omaha Beach in the Big Red One, the 1st Infantry Division. He apologizes as well for not being here, but he wanted to send you this message.
Mr. President, my fellow citizen, Ms. Hendricks, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charles Norman Shea. I am very humbled and honored to have been selected by the state of Normandy to be part of the Freedom Prize again this year. 75 years ago, I landed on Omaha Beach as a combat medic. I was a member of the 1st Infantry Division, 16th Infantry Regiment, Company F, one of the two companies E and F, selected to land on this beach with the first wave at 6:30 a.m. on June 6, 1944. I served in this unit until the 25th of March, 1945, when I had been captured by Germans and became a prisoner of war. I and my fellow comrades fought for freedom. Freedom has no price, and we must protect it and cherish it. Today, we are all gathered here to remit this prestigious prize to one of you, Miss Loujain Al Hathloul. I know the selection process included 5,500 participants from 81 countries and 5 different continents. It was probably not easy to select only one project. I would like to congratulate you, Loujain. You are a brilliant young woman. You are only 31 years old, and you already experienced barbary. You have been thrown in jail and tortured because you were driving in your car in your country, Saudi Arabia. Thanks to your sacrifice, women are now authorized to drive in Saudi Arabia, a very significant progress. I admire your fight for this privilege. My dear mother, Florence Nicola Shea, was also an advocate for human rights and fought in order that Native Americans may have the right to vote in the United States. We finally were able to vote in 1964. She had 4 sons at war in 1944, but we were not allowed to vote in our country. We were considered as second-class citizens in our own country. I have recently read about the passion of another great woman by the name of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, judge at the United States Supreme Court, who did a lot for women, minorities, and freedom. Loujain, I fully support your combat, and I am deeply honored to remit to you the Freedom Prize today. As a French singer by the name of Jean Ferrat once said, "Women are the future of men." I wish you the best, and I thank you for your attention, ladies and gentlemen.
women are the future of men, and Charles Normanche knows what he's talking about because his mother was an activist fighting for the rights of Native Americans. It's another vibrant voice that is inspiring and committed that we are going to listen to now. I'd like to invite the immense singer Barbara Hendricks to join us on the stage. Good afternoon, Barbara Hendricks. I'm delighted to welcome you here. Thank you very much. Well, you are the sponsor of the 2020 Freedom Prize. It's a prize that rewards the action of a woman, the fight of a woman. And I saw that you are extremely moved during the song, Stand Up Women. What does the fight of a woman inspires you? It's very important that fighting for the rights of women is something that excludes others. For me, it's a fight for the whole of humankind. When a woman succeeds, she succeeds on behalf of her community and her society as well. I believe that women have the same rights as women, and when it is the case, men win as well. We all win together. Yes, we all win. You sang here in Normandy for the 75th anniversary of D-Day. You also sang on Wednesday night for the healthcare workers of Normandy. What does this land of Normandy represent for you, Barbara Hendricks? Well, many things. First, the very warm welcome that I have each time I sing here. In front of an audience, and food is also very good. I'll enjoy that, in particular cheese. Yes, gastronomy. But it's mainly, carrying out the duty of remembrance. Remembering something that we'd like to avoid in the future. We hope that we've learned something from our past where horrible things happened, and this city and the memorial where I sang will carry this hope for the future and our remembrance. And when I think about Caen, I also remember singing with children. Children are our future. My generation is passing the baton to you. Thank you very much, young people. Transmission is important, but all this is really vibrant. It's not static, it's alive. You set up a foundation for peace and reconciliation. In your view, what is most urgent? What should we do to try and reduce tensions in the world? What would be your message to the youth that is watching us today? Well, there are many things that are urgent in the world, and everybody here knows about it. I think we need to find solutions to work together. I'd like to say that we need to dare. We need to look at others. We need to find some things about ourselves in others. We have to dare loving and respecting others. There is something wonderful in this forum because it gives us an opportunity of talking but also listening to what others are saying. But first of all, we need to think that the other is my sister, my brother, my child. And if we could think a little bit like this, I think that it will be even easier to find solutions to solve the challenges that we are confronted with, because we will be working hand in hand with others. Love, love, love. That's the most important thing. Thank you. Thank you, Barbara Hendricks, for this very benevolent message of brotherhood. Mr. the President of the Normandy region, it's now time to award the 2020 Freedom Prize. And I would like you in order to receive this prize, I would like you to give a warm welcome to Loujain Al Hathloul. The trophy is going to be brought. This trophy is a symbol of the freedom so warmly defended by Loujain, and it's brought by one of the members of the jury in 2020. Well, now we're going to take a picture. Please come closer to one another. You can surround Lina and Alia.
Si elle ne souhaite pas parler au pupitre, je vous laisse un micro.
D'accord. Ouais. Voilà. Voilà, ce sera.
Well, this will be the image of the 2020 prize, the emotion of Lina and Alia when receiving this trophy. Thank you, everybody. Emmanuel, Mr. Morin, Madame Director, and Barbara Hendricks. You can go back to your seats. Good afternoon, Lina. Good afternoon, Alia. Well, what emotion. Thank you very much. I'm the elder sister of Loujain, Amalia, and Lina is the young sister. We are 6 in total. You can see that Lina is very moved. She's very close to Loujain. They're not only sisters, they're friends. Loujain is Lina's confidant and vice versa. So she lost great support in her life. Well, I really share her emotion. I'm the elder sister, and my relationship with Loujain was rather, did you send your resume? Did you apply for this job? It's like, you know, the big sister role. And I did not really enjoy my sister enough. I didn't know that I was not going to be able to have a real relation of sisterhood with her and not being the big sister. So thank you very much for your support. It really moves us very much. Alia, would you like maybe to give us some news from Loujain, if you're able to get some? Well, since her imprisonment, we have not been able to have regular contact with her. Sometimes we can organize visits. Some months ago, we could call. She could call every Monday my parents, which was reassuring. But at some point in time, well, contacts are forbidden, probably to put pressure on the family, not my parents. They're in Riyadh now. But there are 3 of us abroad in Brussels, Lina and myself in Brussels, and Walid in Canada. So I think that they want to put indirect pressure on us to force us to keep silent, and to put this pressure, they stop contacts with Loujain. So for 3 months, Loujain has had no contact with the family. We were very worried, and well, we were worried because sometimes they start freeing people, and those people died a few days after they were freed. So we were very worried because we felt that opponents were systematically attacked, and we were wondering if we were going to have news, whether if she was freed, her life would be at stake. But then our parents met her and a few months ago, and they learned that she had to do a hunger strike for 6 days to be able to meet our parents. And why did she do that? Well, because she was told that there was COVID and that it was not possible to be organized as at other times, and that it should be easy to understand. But then we saw that some prisoners are in much easier situations and can call every day. But she's very brave. She started this hunger strike. She put her life at stake, at risk. It's not easy to do a hunger strike in Saudi Arabia. First, because you can force that person to stop it with injections. You can send her to the prison's hospital, tie her and force feed her. Fortunately, it didn't happen, but it means that she's still at risk. She can still really take risks to communicate with the family.
There was a trial. It's still underway. We don't know what the situation is, but it is a trial. Personally, this doesn't mean anything to me because this trial, as I had said to students, I'm sorry for those accompanying me, I'm going to repeat this once again. Up until 2015, we had public institutions more or less functioning as it was possible. The Ministry of Justice acted as a Ministry of Justice, and there was a government that tried to protect the citizens, and then we had a prosecutor doing its job. And then we had 2015 with the new king and his son who came to power, and there was a weakening of institutions. And this weakening also affected justice. Now it's not really justice. It's the decision of a single person. What do I expect from him, from this crown prince? So he has really significantly weakened institutions in Saudi Arabia. It wasn't perfect before, but there were many things. Things could be improved, and now everything's been weakened. And so everyone is afraid to act. Even judges are afraid. Loujain asked the judge a question, and the judge asked his advisor. They left the room, and then the advisor came back and whispered to the judge what to say, and that's how he answered. She had a trial in 2014, but it wasn't like that. The institutions at the time were, okay, Saudi style, if you will, but they were institutions with a hope for improvement. But now there's a will to break everything. Alia, last year, the Freedom Award awarded Raif Aoudaoui, a blogger for religious freedom, and he was sentenced to 1,000 lashes of the whip and 10 years of prison. Does that mean that we cannot expect anything in terms of human rights? There's nothing we can expect from this Crown Prince? Well, the only thing is we can hope for is that Saudi Arabia is worried about its image in Western countries, the United States, European countries such as France, England. We have historic relations with the US and the UK, so we know each other a bit better. So everything we've done in Saudi Arabia has been for this image. There are reforms in Saudi Arabia. In 2018, women were not driving, and now they are. So there are changes. These changes, well, okay, we had reforms, but when you read the reforms, it's for external communication campaigns. So it's to get people to talk about us abroad. On paper, we see that, yes, things are advancing, but on paper, the ban on women driving was never written in a law in Saudi Arabia. It was a tacit law, if you will. Now, it seems to be progressing. There are reforms. However, these are reforms to use the media. They're not veritable reforms. And these reforms could help us. For example, we have parents who are very understanding, but other women who are in difficult families, well, this law will never work for them. So these are reforms for external use. It's not about the welfare of Saudis. That's not at the heart of these reforms. And I can say one thing. We have this image of Saudi women wearing a scarf. Now we have made these laws more flexible. So, you know, you see women in cafes, not necessarily with a veil. They're in cafes, they're having a good time. And then you go to downtown Riyadh, the airport, it looks like there's lots going on. It's a dynamic city. But then if a woman could take her scarf off and get arrested, and people don't understand why this woman was arrested. Maybe she's from a place where reformers are not appreciated. So this area is just for, these reforms are just for certain layers of the population. But this woman is still in jail because she did not put her scarf back on. So these reforms are making people schizophrenic. There's a dual discourse, so we don't know whether we're going forward or back. As there are many journalists here in the room, and we are all attached to freedom of expression. This is 2 October. Jamal Khashoggi was assassinated in the Saudi embassy. One word, Alia. How did Loujain find out about this prize, and how did she react? Well, this award's very important to her because our parents announced the news to Loujain, and they heard her voice change. She has more strength. It gives her wings, literally, to continue her struggle. It's very strong support, and to feel support is very important, to have this support from everywhere. So thank you very much. It's a strength, it's a source of strength for us too. Loujain inspires us with her courage and her determination, her conviction. She has to manage all of this and maintain. she wants to make her story visible in the media, and that's not easy. I'm here talking to you. Lina has spoken in the media, but you haven't heard Loujain speaking in the media much because we have more contact with the Anglo-Saxon media. It was the influence of the US on Saudi Arabia, which is much more significant. But it's very important to tell this story because you are going to indirectly influence through your stories, through your articles, and through your political representatives, because Saudi Arabia and France are allies. So necessarily there are interests that will be influenced. So when someone continues to say Loujain's name in the press, that helps us. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ali. Now we will give the floor to Lina, who tell us how universal Loujain's combat is. Mr. Hervé Morin, President of the Normandy region, Christine Echevet, who is the rector of the Academy, Alain Touré, the President of the International Institute for Human Rights and Peace, François-Xavier Paulin, who is the editor-in-chief of Group West. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to receive the Freedom Award, Normandy for Peace, that our sister Loujain has won thanks to mobilization and support of youth throughout the world. We want to also thank the youth from the Charles de Gaulle and CFAC colleges. They had nominated her, and we thank those who made her one of the finalists. I thank the president of this jury, Mr. Emmanuel Davidenkov, and I thank all those who participated in the organization and the proper functioning of this forum, Normandy for Peace. We want to express our gratitude to the thousands of youth who chose Loujain. Thank you. We would like to pay tribute to the other two finalists, Nasrin Sotoudeh, whose remarkable courage in fighting for women's rights is something just as our sister does, and also Pedro Opeka, who works in Madagascar, saying that peace is only possible when fundamental needs are met. This Freedom Award is to raise awareness about peace, security, and Loujain has worked to try to reach these objectives. This is a universal struggle, a struggle based on will to ensure dignity and equality for all. Her struggle is universal and also fundamentally human and is of concern to us all. Montesquieu wrote, injustice to one person is a threat made to all. The struggle for women's rights, for an inclusive and tolerant society, takes different forms depending on where it is implemented. The situation is not the same everywhere, and the reaction of the powers that be is not always the same. It's not always as virulent as what Loujain is now being subjected to. However, we would be wrong to think that any progress are things that are untouchable. The shrinking of human space, including in democracies, is a reality. This is a struggle at all levels throughout the world to acquire and protect or acquire human rights, inclusion, and freedom. Loujain has understood this well. She is fighting and paying for that struggle with the cost of freedom. An award has only real value if it can change something on the ground, move things forward improve the lives of those who are victims of injustice. And we are profoundly convinced that this award will have an impact, a real one, on Loujain. She will know she's supported. That gives her strength because she's exhausted by the conditions of her detention. Now, on women's rights, which we see are of great concern to youth, and that is encouraging. World youth is in the front lines for defending universal values, and among those are freedom. This mobilization is giving giving my sister hope. This prize will also have a concrete impact because they wanted to reduce my sister to silence, to make her disappear into oblivion. But Loujain, you have not been forgotten. Mobilization continues. Global youth supports you. Their combat is also your combat, and vice versa. And the recognition of this award validates the path that we have chosen, one to bring our testimony to remain passionate and committed, engaged, and heard, despite all the support that we have been getting and the love that we have given on. We know that her struggle continues. She's still in horrific conditions in jail. More than ever, she needs the support of those who want to advocate freedom, tolerance, and inclusion. Loujain is not giving up. Every day, she shows the scale of her courage despite what she is being subjected to. If my sister is not abandoning her fight despite what she's suffering, we must accompany her in this struggle so that women's rights become a reality in my country. So this is the time to talk about saying no to oppression, to violence, discrimination, injustice, and to say yes to equality, justice, and freedom. Let's not give in to indifference. We must not give up. This struggle is something that must be embodied by you, youth. According to Aristotle, injustice, which has weapons in its hand, is the worst of scourges. And you, youth, must continue to fight this scourge peacefully and mobilize yourselves so that we can reach a world of rights, dignity, and freedom for all. Today, we are celebrating Loujain's struggle, and we are paying homage to her. As you see, Loujain, people are mobilizing. Your struggle continues. You have not been forgotten. I love you.
Merci. Merci, Lina.
Thank you very much, Lina. Now, I would invite a lawyer, Bertrand Dignoy, who is he is piloting this Freedom Prize here in Normandy. Ladies and gentlemen, after all of this that was said so well and with such conviction, it is an immense honor to be here with the awarding of this award. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your presence here Alia and Lena, and I want to remind you how attached we are to equality between men and women. Normandy embodies these values of freedom, of mutual listening to each other. The first article of Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1949, that people are born equal. And it is something that holds true. We would like to thank our godmother, Barbara Hendricks, for having been so available. You are the demonstration itself that the University of Art enables us to gather around historical values. And the artists are always a source of freedom. Emmanuel Davidenkov, and I would like also through him to say to the 24 members of the jury and who discovered our region over 3 days and debated for 2 days, you've all shown that we can be reassured for the future of the world. They have shown their bright spirit. You have really shown your bright spirits, and this jury owes a lot to you and to all the youth of Normandy, of France, the world. We see that there has been a great investment to propose candidates, so we are delighted that we were able to interest them and get their attention. And the Napoleon Lycée in Aigle, we saw them. There was Anne Guillard, Sylvie Pisset, and Benoît Vaucher, who made this trophy under difficult circumstances. The trophy did not get a certificate, but it was made by youth between the ages of 16 and 19. None of what is being done for this Freedom Award could be done without our partners, especially from the International Institute for Human Rights and Peace, my dear friend Jonas and all of his team, who are doing a great job and always in a good mood. And I would also thank you for hailing the actions of the region of Normandy, something that, you know, those working behind the scenes because of the virus, working in difficult conditions. Thank you, dear François Xavier. Those for the work to prepare the Freedom Award. I'm thinking of them, especially Christophe Louveteau, who is working. They're all working in the shadows to accomplish their missions, to work to the benefit of youth in Normandy. Please convey, dear ladies, my most fervent message of support. She's languishing in a Saudi prison because she refuses to sign a paper saying that she has not been a victim of abuse and mistreatment, whereas she has. And you said that she has been mistreated, especially when everyone was being quiet. The applause which followed the remitting of the award show that we will no longer be silent. And the louder we clap, the faster she will come out of jail. Our message of support also goes out to Nasrin Sotoudeh. She and also Pedro Otapa. We would like to express our friendship and support to them. We have to think about the great peoples who aspire to peace. Afghanistan, Lebanon, the Uyghurs, who are victims of abominations because they are Muslims, simply because they are Muslims. I am now thinking also of the Christians in the Orient due to what they are subjected to because of their faith. 76 years later, the world is not free of these demons. I'm addressing the youngest ones among us here. Our mission and our wishes cannot be accomplished if you do not give all of your strength to defend our common values. Our grandparents, your great-grandparents fought, and they gave at the time their youth and their lives so that we could live in peace and freedom. They didn't know if you would be here one day, but they wanted you to be born happy and free. Now let's look to the future. We have another award. You can start to prepare your dossiers for the Freedom Award next year. We will have the jury meeting with members from all over the world, and in April we are going to have people meeting. So we will meet again in June next year, in the spring, for another ceremony, because freedom will need to have struggles, recognition of people. And in 1944, many youth from all over the world came here to defend that freedom. And today, we are benefiting from that freedom. So we have to keep our arms reached out to other people to fight for freedom of peoples and equality between men and women. Let us keep our arms reached out. Let's never give up a single centimeter. Freedom is an ongoing struggle that we have to wage with all our strength, conviction, so that Normandy will live long, as will equality among peoples. Thank you very much.
Je vous laisse. Avant de nous quitter,
before leaving, I would ask that Kodjo just come and conclude this edition of this Freedom Prize. He has composed something as a hymn, if you will, or anthem to this award, the Freedom Award. He's here.
Kodjo, venez avec nous.
Kodjo, come up with us. Just a word on this song. Why did you choose this song for this prize, this award? Yes, thank you. I composed this song in 2014, but it gained new energy when I met the jury and through the work we did. And so it became the hymn for this award in 2020, and we're very proud of it. Okay, so we will let you sing it. Thank you. Thank you.
Si tu écoutes s'alarmer ma voix, sache que je vis dans un monde où la paix est menacée. Je vous laisse face à certains choix. Si vous aimez la paix, alors choisissez. Oh. Anselmo Scraton, le masque au sang qui cartonne. De toutes les situations de dilemme, j'en ai assez. Je marque alors une pause dans la recherche de la gnose. J'ose, je vous les propose. Propose. Entre la témérité dans la foi et la sévérité dans la loi. Choisissez entre servir le diable et servir un faux homme de Dieu. Choisissez entre aimer pour mourir et vivre sans amour. Choisissez entre gouverner des ignorants et être un connaisseur gouverné. À chacun sa croix, enfin ça c'est ma foi. C'est quoi la diff entre ceux qui croient et ceux qui ont la foi? Ici il y a certains qui meurent pour que d'autres vivent, et il y en a qui tuent les autres pour mieux vivre. Tout dépend du choix que chacun fait et fera, de ce qu'on sait, saura et qu'on comprendra. Pour comprendre une notion, on a besoin de l'apprendre. Pour l'apprendre, on a besoin de la connaître. Pour la connaître, on a besoin de l'enseignement. Pour l'enseignement, s'impose alors un enseignant. La vie est une école, là au moins on est tous d'accord. Mais pour le niveau, qui a raison, bah qui a tort? Certains pensent fort que c'est le cours primaire, d'autres misent plutôt sur le secondaire. Pour d'autres enfants, c'est l'université. C'est quoi alors la différence de vérité, réalité? Si on pense que chacun a sa vérité, toute vérité a sa réalité. Moi je préfère être un justicier au micro que de servir l'injustice dans un manteau au barreau. J'ai compris que tant que justice se voudra, injustice aussi persistera. Dois-je alors briser mon rêve de devenir avocat? Si oui, qui pensera avocat? Ou sinon, allons avocat. Yo, de toutes les situations de dilemme j'en ai assez. Je marque alors une pause dans la recherche de la gnose. Je vous les propose entre la témérité dans la foi et la sévérité dans la loi. Choisissez entre servir le diable et servir un faux homme de Dieu. Choisissez entre aimer pour mourir et vivre sans amour. Choisissez entre gouverner des ignorants et être un connaisseur gouverné. Les gens préfèrent avoir 200 comme salaire et être appelés des pauvres que d'avoir 2 millions en salaire et être appelé à donner aux pauvres. Parce qu'on a appris que les bonnes choses ne durent jamais. Et ben, tout le monde cherche à être mauvais. Et puisqu'on sait qu'il y aura un dernier jugement, les juges d'ici jouent la comédie en attendant. Les gens préfèrent avoir la force pour se venger que d'avoir le cœur pour pardonner. Les gens préfèrent débloquer des fonds pour payer des dettes que de les investir pour éviter les casse-têtes. Des situations de dilemme j'en ai assez. Je ne voulais plus choisir quand j'ai appris et compris que refuser de faire le choix, c'est aussi faire un choix, celui de ne pas choisir. Donc pause dans la recherche de la gnose. Et j'ose, je vous les propose. Encore une fois, entre la témérité dans la foi et la sévérité dans la loi. Choisissez entre servir le diable et servir un faux homme de Dieu. Choisissez entre aimer pour mourir et vivre sans amour. Choisissez entre gouverner des ignorants et être un connaisseur gouverné. Avez-vous choisi? Qu'avez-vous choisi? Pouvez-vous choisir? Choisissez. Refuser de faire le choix, c'est aussi faire un choix, celui de ne pas choisir. Donc, choisissez.
Merci. Merci.
Bravo! Kojo! Bravo! Viens avec moi. Viens avec moi. Kojo, voilà.
Merci.
Congratulations, Kojo. Come with me. Barbara Hendricks loved it. What do you feel about singing in front of Barbara Hendricks? Well, it's a lot of pressure, but it gave me strength as well. It gave me the power to sing in front of a diva. Yes, it gave me strength. But there was stress, of course, at the same time. Thank you for being here. Thank you very much to the actors who are doing a residency at the Cité Théâtre and have been with us throughout the ceremony. They imagined this play and rehearsed for weeks. Thank you very much. Now, I invite you to go out and, of course, comply with the rules. Please, could I have your attention? For those of you who came by bus, these school groups, please wait outside on this side. Use the entrance that you used and wait to be called to be taken to the bus.